Alright, so Nintendo had a recent Indie World showcase that went over a bunch of different games on the Nintendo Switch and also coming to some other platforms as well. And there was a lot of cool looking stuff. I'm actually pretty excited for a number of games, and I want to talk about some of those, but I also want to go over a bigger picture thing, something that's kind of not necessarily associated with this when you look at an Indie World presentation, but it's something that I'm noticing with the amount of stuff that's been happening recently when it comes to stuff like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, when it comes to the 2022 games. I think that there's definitely a connection here, which we'll get into in just a bit. But what's up, everybody? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Please make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe if you are someone new for daily gaming videos and live streams. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell to get my videos first. Now, let's go ahead and get right into the thick of this here. Let's talk about some of these games at the Indie World Showcase. Now, there's a lot of cool stuff. I can't mention everything because I don't want the video to be like 40 minutes long, but I was really loving these games, man. Like, Loop Hero looks really cool because I used to watch a ton of Loop Hero on Twitch. There were some dudes that were playing it on Twitch, and it's only on PC, I think, at this point. So the fact that it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, you know, and it's only on PC, the game looks really cool. Very interesting, unique game. You kind of like build the dungeon around them and what happens in the hero fights there. It's really crazy, addictive type of game that I watched for many hours on Twitch when people were in the Loop Hero hype. I think they talked about selling over 500,000 copies of the game, and this was a while ago. So I'm pretty sure they got plenty of Skrilla to invest into making the game on the Switch as well. So that's pretty cool that they got Loop Hero set, ready to go on the Nintendo Switch. I like what they're doing there. Also, the surprise announcement recently, the Axiom Verge 2 Shadow Drop on the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. You can go out there and play it right now. This game is amazing. It's getting fantastic reviews. People are playing the game, enjoying it. Heck, by the time that I upload this video to YouTube, I'll probably have already played it as well. But as of the time that I'm making this video right now, I'm not playing it, but I will, because the game looks really dope. I like the first game. This game is coming out right now at this point. It's perfect. There is a physical edition, apparently getting pre-orders are coming out October or something like that. So if you want a physical edition, that will be there. It's been so long for Axiom Verge 2. People have been wondering where this game is, and now we have it. 2D action-adventure game. Surprise drop out of nowhere. That made the show for many people right there. So yeah, I love the color scheme. I love the abilities. I love the Metroidvania style. I love everything about it. So that's looking really good as well. So very cool there. Shout out to Thomas Happ. He's doing a fantastic job in terms of like a pretty small team too, you know, so good stuff there. Next up is a game that I think is going to be the most, I would say, like unique indie game. The most awkward and unique, but still amazing looking indie game. Now there's one more game after this, which we'll talk about in just a bit, which I'm excited for, but this is the most intriguing game to me, and that is Eastward. This game, Eastward, there's been so much buzz about this game and what's going on here. It's a Shanghai-based indie developer, Pixpill, apparently, if I'm saying that right. The P's there, Pixpill. But Eastward is a very interesting looking game. It reminds me of like a Earthbound, and it reminds me of like an old school, the Super Nintendo games, Illusion of Gaia, Terranigma, Earthbound, games like that. It's kind of all kind of wrapped up and mixed into there with this game Eastward. So very interesting, very charming looking game, very different, and I just love what they're doing with the style of game that it is. Very interesting to see this game Eastward. It's dropping on September 16th for $24.99. This is Chucklefish as well with the publishing. You guys all know about Chucklefish. They've done some good stuff on the Switch as well. And it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, PC, and Mac. So it's going to be very soon here. We're going to be able to get some Eastward gameplay going down. So I definitely like that. But the game that probably impressed me the most, the game that I'm most excited for that's coming to the Nintendo Switch is Metal Slug Tactics, baby. Switch version coming out, launched in 2022, so we do have to wait a little bit, but it's still coming to the Nintendo Switch, and this is the perfect type of game for the Nintendo Switch. The tactics, smaller maps, smaller levels, get in, get out type of play, rest mode type of play, get in, have some fun, blow some stuff up with your favorite Metal Slug characters or some of your favorite Metal Slug characters, and just get out of there. I love this pocket tactics style of game. I'm a huge Fire Emblem fan, so to see them bring this to the Nintendo Switch is perfect. It really is. And I was hyped for it even back when they showed like the PC trailer. I forgot where it was, but there was a video before where they showed it off, and I was even hyped for it then. I was going to pick it up on PC, but now that it's coming to Nintendo Switch, heck yeah, definitely going to get it on there. So I do love what they're doing with that. But let's get into something else here, guys. A little bit more of the big picture, because there was a number of indie games, right? That was 2022. It wasn't just Metal Slug. There were other games that were 2022 as well. And it seems like there is quite a number of things happening in 2022. Nintendo themselves have a bunch of big games coming in 2022, with the biggest that we know of so far with The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. But we also have other big games as well. We've got the rumors with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and what's going to happen with that. We do know that Nintendo's probably going to have a big direct in September. They followed on schedule with having their indie worlds and their directs and the E3, so it does seem that way. So there's going to be more big games announced for the future in 2022 and beyond. So with all of these bigger indie games coming over to Nintendo Switch this year and next year, with Nintendo still lining up Switch games for, of course, this year and also bigger games next year as well, something tells me that the Nintendo Switch is far from done. I know that there's been a lot of questions and a lot of concerns about how old the Switch is, the graphics, some of the frame rates and stuff like that, and I completely understand that, completely get that. Some of the disappointment with the Switch OLED not actually having a little bit of a bump when it comes to specs and everything, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I'm simply just analyzing the situation and looking and thinking like, whoa, Nintendo isn't really setting up for something to come out and somehow replace the system in 2022 or at the end of the year or something like that. Maybe there's some revised hardware again. Who knows? They've already revised the Switch hardware. This will be the 4th time with the Nintendo Switch OLED, because you have the regular Nintendo Switch, then you have this Switch Lite, then you have the version 2 Switch, now you have the Switch OLED. So I guess you could say 3rd time, technically speaking, but 4 different models in terms of what is capable of each model there. So Nintendo does revise their hybrid type of hardware or their portable hardware. So maybe we see that, but Nintendo still has their foot on the pedal, and it tells me that there are big things in store for next year and maybe even beyond when it comes down to it. I mean, Pokemon Legends Arceus, another game that's going to be a big one. Splatoon 3 as well. Project Triangle Strategy 2. So there's just a lot of stuff coming, and I think that they're not just going to shut everything down right after that, right? Like, oh, 2022, all right, we got these games out. All right, next thing, right? So it does seem like it's going to be a more natural transition to what they do and build upon what they already have. So a couple things that people have asked about is like backwards compatibility and what they're going to do with the Switch once the next Switch comes out. I think everything's just going to be more of a smooth transition. Nintendo isn't going to try to set it up as some type of crazy different type of thing and have a whole different OS and have a whole different slate of games and stuff like that. I think they're going to try to just transition things into it after 2022 and just say, hey, you can still play all your Switch games. We're still going to release stuff on the next gen Switch and also the regular Switch, but it's just going to be more of an upgrade and natural transition than we've seen before in the past, where they just completely cut ties with everything with what they're doing and move on to the next thing that has a completely different OS, completely different features, completely different everything. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it's going to be the exact same Switch system. I think they're just going to build upon what they've already done, almost like an Xbox One X to Xbox Series X/Series S, to where they built upon what they already had there with the previous Xbox systems, to where that creates a natural transition for people to just say, okay, I'll upgrade when I can, when they show something that's going to be really dope, I can get this frame rate or resolution better, whatever the case is. So I think that this is probably the best way to go about it, considering the success of the Switch, and also to keep the customers that are still happy with the Switch right now as is, but then also get new people to buy on, and then the people that have already been playing and they're ready for that upgrade, you can transition them naturally into it. So I think that this is a very good strategy that Nintendo's playing at this part, right? Because some people thought that Nintendo would be slowing down here in 2022 and everything like that, but that is not the case. Based off of what I'm seeing here with some of these bigger indie games, Nintendo just kind of raking them out at this point, and the fact that Nintendo has these big first party games coming in 2022 and more games because of the pandemic, which also could have a whole nother implication into this, right? Like the fact that they're still banging out these games and having this stuff and having these rumors of new games and everything shows me that they're still going. They're still going, and 2022 is probably going to be super lit. So then maybe 2023 or so is when things start kind of heading into that next gen territory for Nintendo. But I'll tell you something right now, man. It is super exciting to be a gamer at this point, whether you're playing on the Xbox platform, whether you're playing on PlayStation, whether you're playing on PC, or if you're playing on mobile. There's a lot of cool stuff even on there. Or if you're on the Nintendo Switch, there's so many different games to play. There's so many different styles of games. There's so many different variety of games to play. I mean, you can find something in pretty much every single category when it comes down to it. Tired of the big AAA games and everything like that? There's tons of indie games to play. You want the first party games from Nintendo? They're coming out. There's plenty of those as well. You want to see more stuff in terms of Game Pass and all the stuff that's happening there? That's also a thing as well. So there's just so much stuff going on right now, and it's hard to keep up sometimes when it comes to it. But what are your thoughts when it comes to what I'm saying here with the Nintendo Switch and not slowing down and kind of things moving forward here? And also, what do you think about the indie presentation? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. I've got a Twitter page. Go and give me a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.